Hey everyone, I'm really tired for some reason. I don't know why. So anyway, I watched the next VR Troopers episode, the Dojo plot. It starts off with, see, Master Tao was at the dojo doing a karate class, and then some guy in a business suit comes in and tells him that he owes a bunch of money on the place, and if he can't pay it, then the city's taking the dojo away. And then Ryan, JB, and Caitlin come in, and uh, Tao is all depressed, and they're like, Tao, what's the matter? And he tells them about what's going on, and apparently they didn't know this? Even though JB's been helping him with, like, the money management of the dojo for, like, ever since the beginning of the show. This episode has some really weird stuff going on in it that makes me think that it was supposed to be like way earlier in this show's run than where it is, episode 22 or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. Let's see. That's the biggest weird thing that. Oh, and there's another weird thing coming up a little later I'll talk about, but the troopers don't know Tao is having money management problems with the dojo, even though JB has been shown several times to be helping him, like, balance the books and stuff, so it's I don't know where in the world that's coming from here. All I can guess is, yeah, this must have been, like, intended to be aired way earlier than where it is on the DVD. I don't know if the DVD episodes coincide with an air date order or a production order or whatever. I'm assuming VR Troopers was probably shot the same way Power Rangers was, where they would have, like, a number of different outfits, a location, and they'd shoot, like, a bunch of stuff in that one location. They'd do the shots, change clothes, go back to the location, do the next episode or whatever. So, I don't know, maybe I don't know why this is where it is. So anyway, it turns out that Carl Zichter is the one behind wanting to close the dojo. He wants to demolish it and in its place put a weather machine that he can use to alter the weather of the world. Alright. I don't know why it has to be at Tao Dojo's location. Like, again, way early in the show, he was shown demolishing buildings. So, what was stopping him from putting the weather machine there? Oh, well, whatever. Anyway, Icebot tells them the weather device is almost complete, and so then the troopers are at Hart's lab trying to figure out a way to raise money for Tao Dojo, and they settle on the idea of doing a fundraiser. Huh. Not a really creative idea, but it's a practical one. That's the other weird thing. This is just a very uneven plot. Like, this reminds me of some of those really early Mighty Morphin episodes where there'd be, like, some really dead simple thing, and the Rangers just don't recognize how simple it is because the plot needs to keep happening. So then, see, Grimlord somehow learns about the troopers wanting to start a fundraiser, so he sends a bunch of Skugs to disrupt things. The troopers fight them off, and then Grimlord orders this new robot, Cannon Bot, to go after the troopers. And then, here's a really weird thing. Carl Zichter shows up to the fundraiser. That is really strange. To actually see the main villain come into well, it's not a fundraiser at Tao Dojo, it's for Tao Dojo, but it's being done at the newspaper place. Sure, why not? So anyway, it's very strange to see, like, a relatively safe spot have the main villain just walk in. Although I'm still not. I don't think the troopers know Carl Zichter is Grimlord. There hasn't been any, like, big reveal yet. I don't know how long it is before they figure that out. Carl Zichter doesn't really do a good job of hiding him being evil. The mayor and the mayor's... Oh yeah, that's the other weird thing. The mayor and his wife show up to the fundraiser, and there's no Percy here. Percy's completely absent. So I'm thinking, was this shot before he was introduced? And when the troopers see the mayor and his wife, they're like, hey, that's the mayor and his wife. Come on, let's introduce ourselves. They know who you are by now. At the very least, they know who Jeb and Ryan are. But it's weird, the mayor and his wife act like they've never seen them before. Very strange. Also, Carl Zichter has some dialogue with them, and the mayor doesn't act like nervous around him or anything. Like maybe he's just putting on like a tough act for like being out in public. It's not like when they're in private and he can be the sniveling little weasel who does everything Carl Zichter says. So that's another weird thing that makes me think this was originally supposed to be way earlier in the show before a lot of these other elements had been established. So anyway, Grimlord orders Cannonbot after the troopers, and then let's see. Doot, 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 doot. Hart notices something strange on his monitors, which he can see somehow. Like he's on this monitor, the monitor's right beside him, and somehow he's able to see on it. Like I don't know, maybe there's some technological thing, but it kind of reminds me of in Thomas the Tank Engine. There's this like kind of infamous line way early on in the show where it says Thomas looked behind him, but he's a train. He doesn't have a neck. He can't move where his face is. It's planted on the front of the train. So when it's like he looked behind him, it's just the puppet eyes moving over to the side, and it's really funny. So anyway, he notices something on the monitor somehow, and that's how he figures out about Grimlord and the weather device. So then the troopers are thrown into the battle grid, and that's pretty pointless, but it eats up some time. It's cool to see some action scenes that are American shot, I guess. Yeah, the battle grid scenes so far don't really serve any narrative purpose. They're just there to eat up some time, and for there to be a bit more action scenes that are more cohesive than cutting up, splicing in the Japanese fight scenes. So then they split up. Ryan fights Cannonbot, and the others fight their way through Scugs to destroy the weather machine. Now, Cannonbot, I was starting to wonder, why is he called Cannonbot? He's like just a robot. Like he's just a typical robot-looking guy. It's not really anything canon about him. But then, let's see, Ryan cracks his helmet. There's like these little animated cracks on his helmet, which is a cool effect. And then somehow his head falls off in some scene we don't have over here. I haven't seen Metalder, or at least I haven't seen this episode of Metalder, so I don't know what happened to the bad guy. Like, was there a particularly violent scene where his head got taken off? Because it's a robot. It's not like there'd be blood. Or was there? Was he actually a cyborg or something? Well, whatever. Anyway, with his head off, why he's called Cannonbot is revealed. A big cannon pops out of his neck, and he can shoot like cannonballs out his face? I don't know. That doesn't really help him at all, though. Ryan just destroys him anyway. Okay. Whatever. Meanwhile, JB and Caitlin find the weather machine, they destroy it from the inside, and then Grimlord is like, well, guess I can never do that again. Again. That's the other thing in VR Troopers I kind of wish they could smooth out at this point is, like, have a reason for why Grimlord stops his plans. Like, in Power Rangers, there's a similar thing, but in Power Rangers, the plots are usually the same. It's, like, Rita would send a monster, they defeat the monster, and she's like, well, next time I'll send another monster. But with Grimlord, it's like, well, my plan failed once, I can absolutely never do that again, unless I guess the plot calls for it, and the footage matches or something. So then the troopers return to the fundraiser, and the mayor tells them that, the fundraiser didn't raise quite enough money to save the dojo, but he's willing to pay the difference, and his wife gets mad at him for not telling her about this, and then, Jeb turns on a fan that somehow blows her wig off, and surprisingly, she looks fine without the wig. Like, she obviously has healthy hair. I guess she wants a wig that makes her look older? I don't know, it's a weird thing. Like, I don't think it was intended to come across like, she's trying to look older or whatever, but that's kind of how it feels, because her, like, kind of pale-haired, curly wig flies off, and you see she has short, straight brown hair, like really dark brown hair. So I don't know, maybe she feels self-conscious because the mayor looks significantly older than her, maybe? Like, she doesn't want to look, like, way younger than him, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe she just likes the way the wig looks better than her normal hair. But if that's the case, then it's kind of weird that she makes such a big fuss about her wig falling off. Whatever, anyway, dumb ending. Forgettable episode. Nothing majorly wrong with it. It's just nothing there to stand out. Really, the only things that stand out are the little narrative things that kind of contradict earlier episodes, like the troopers not knowing who the mayor and his wife are, and the troopers not knowing that Tao has money problems with the dojo. Like, those are both things that have been pretty big in previous episodes, and they're treated like they're new here. Uh, One of the things, though, with this episode is the Spielbahn and Metalder footage that they use intrigues me more to check out those shows, because while they chop it up here and you're not really getting that much of a feel for it, it definitely feels like there's more drama and, like, narrative importance going on in those shows than in VR Troopers, where, especially early on here, it's a mess. From what I remember, VR Troopers doesn't really get like, it doesn't really come into its own and start feeling like a really good show until the second season when, uh, like, they stop using Metalder footage, which is too bad because I really love the Metalder suit and I love the aesthetic of the Metalder characters, but then they switched to Scheider, and Scheider's fine. I love Scheider, but, it's kind of, I don't know. I like Metalder, like, aesthetically better than Scheider. Anyway, oh yeah, one of the things this episode made me think about with the battle grid, why do they limit the battle grid suits to the battle grid? Wouldn't it be cool to have an episode where, like, maybe the plot is that... Actually, maybe there is a plot like this and I'm just completely forgetting, because I have seen all of VR Troopers a couple of times, but, yeah, a lot of it didn't really stick in my head that much. Like, there's a few episodes that stick out to me and things that happened, but this specific plot I don't remember happening. Like, what if something happened and the troopers, like, they broke out of the battle grid, but they were still in their battle grid suits? Or why not from the beginning, like, just not have the battle grid? Have these suits be like some kind of, like, proto version of their normal suits, kind of like in Super Megaforce, where they turn into the Megaforce suits, and then the Super Megaforce suits are the power-ups. Can't believe I'm comparing something to Super Megaforce. Like, it'd be way better handled, ideally, than Super Megaforce did that, where, like, in there it was just really weird and awkward, and it didn't make any sense. In VR Troopers, there would be a necessity for it, because they don't have... Or, well, they have American recreated Spielbahn and Metalder suits, but, like, JB's doesn't move well. We don't see Caitlin's a whole lot. We see Ryan's occasionally, but it's really clunky looking. I think that would also help make the team feel more like a team, because as it is, they always just immediately split up whenever there's anything that goes on. Not a whole lot else to say about it. It's a standard, dull episode of VR Troopers. Which one comes next? Grimlord's Greatest Hits. With a title like that, it sounds like it should be a clip show. I don't think it's a clip show. I don't think VR Troopers did clip shows, did it? Maybe I'm forgetting, but I don't think VR Troopers ever did a clip show. So anyway, that's it for this one. Can't think of anything else to say about it, so hope you enjoyed it. See ya.